You know, a lot of people are worried about flying these days, and it's turning out that actually a lot of the airlines are being very good. It can be quite safe to fly because of all the precautions they're taking with keeping people separated and being extra careful. But I know that you have a fear of flying even when there is no coronavirus. You've always been afraid to fly. Is that right?
Yes, I'm terrified of flying, which is a big handicap given that I fly all the time for my job. I mean, many times a year. And no, it's dreadful. I don't know what to do about it. And it's got me in terrible sort of pickles in the past because I end up getting very confessional on airplanes, thinking that I'm definitely plummeting to my doom and I need to kind of offload myself of all my deepest, darkest secrets. And then I don't die. And I've told some perfect stranger everything about myself. And I did it once on a flight to Yalta. I was doing a job in Yalta in the ex-Soviet Union, and I was sitting next to a very nice man. And those flights are terrifying. It was an Aeroflot internal flight, which you're told that sort of people that work for embassies and things are banned from going on, because I think on average about 20 people a week die on them, because they're mainly driven by very drunk ex-equivalent of RAF Russian pilots who get bored and sort of do loop-the-loops drunk and then crash. and there were literally sort of...
I like that we're laughing, but if a drunk pilot decides to do a loop-de-loop, it's hard not to giggle a little bit.
Exactly. Apart from when you're on the plane. Anyway, and so I got on this plane and there were literally sort of newspapers stuffing up the windows, and kind of, there was like the safety precautions were 3 parachutes that were sort of dotted around various places in the airplane. And I just knew I was going to die. So I offloaded all my really sort of worst secrets to this very nice gentleman who was sitting next to me. And then realized that he was in fact in the show that I was about to go and film. This very sweet man, knowing everything about me and winking knowingly whenever I sort of walked into the bar. And I think, oh my God.
He knew everything. Your secret's safe with me. Well, guess what? I contacted that man and he told me everything. And I want to ask you about it now. Wouldn't that be a fun turn of events?
Yes, it would be amazing.
You studied acting in Russia, didn't you?
I did. Well, I didn't really. I studied Russian at university in England, and then I did a year abroad as a sort of practice year. But I didn't learn anything because I went to drama school in Moscow, and I just got a huge crush on the guy that was teaching me Russian drama.
Oh, so really? That's classic. That's classic for people to get a crush on their instructor, you know.
I know.
Especially when you're young and you're in a foreign country. What was this guy like? Was he very commanding, sort of impressive guy?
He was called Dmitry Bruznikin, and he was, well, in my mind's eye, he was all of those things. But I don't know. I think Love is Blind, maybe. I don't know. No, I'm sure he was all of those things, but I just was obsessed by him, and I didn't pick up any knowledge either of acting or of how to speak Russian. But I did finally get him back to my apartment for dinner with the, I staged this whole thing where there were the other students that had been on my course, and I made this delicious dinner for everybody. And he did, lo and behold, walk out onto the balcony and start sort of looking up at the moon and talking about the moon and quite seemingly quite sort of romantic terms. But I unfortunately was so drunk on vodka, because I was so excited that I had him in my house, that I started vomiting silently behind him I knew I was going to be sick, but I didn't want to leave. So I would sort of sit quietly into my hands behind him. So and the weird is that he didn't notice. He was so engrossed in his sort of, he was waxing so lyrical at the moon that he didn't fail to notice me vomiting behind him. And I can't really remember how it played out, but it's sort of, I think I went off him that he didn't notice, that he was so self-involved he didn't notice me being sick behind him.
That's the least romantic story I've ever heard.
I know.
you're man, wow. Okay. I like that you discreetly threw up, which is a very hard thing to do in a very ladylike fashion.
I did.